Hello, my friend. It's so nice to see you again. How are you feeling today? I hope you're doing great. Today, I want to share something exciting. It's all about how you can practice speaking English when you're at home by yourself. Yes, Home Alone sounds like the title of a famous movie, but here it's your real life English learning challenge. So, are you ready to explore? Let's jump right in. Many people find this tricky. Why? Because in their city, there may be no native English speakers to talk to. Perhaps there are no tourists passing by whom you can politely approach for a chat. Maybe there are no local clubs or meetups where you can join and practice English with others. And maybe you're not ready yet to jump on Skype and start a conversation with a stranger. Talking to someone you don't know online can be intimidating, especially if you're shy just like me. So today, I'm going to give you a variety of ideas to help you practice speaking even when you're home alone. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you might notice something unusual behind me. Yes, that bright orange thing in the corner wasn't there before. It's actually my meditation mat. Sometimes I sit there to meditate. Other times I just leave it in a corner while tidying up. Right now it's resting there because I couldn't find a better place. But let's get back to the main topic. The truth is, yes, you can watch English videos, enjoy movies, or listen to podcasts. All of that is great, but at some point, you have to open your mouth and speak. Speaking to yourself is a good start, but later you'll also need real conversations with people. Since that's not always possible, I'll share practical and easy activities you can try alone at home. The first technique is called speaking in the mirror. It's simple but extremely powerful. You can do it first thing in the morning while getting ready for your day. Of course, you can't talk while brushing your teeth, but you can speak right before or after. In the evening, before you go to bed, you can also do this while washing your face. And if you don't wash your face at night, why not? My mother always said, wash your face and behind your ears before bed. Apparently, it removes the dust and pollution from your skin, and it feels refreshing before sleep. Attaching speaking practice to a habit you already have makes learning much easier. When I was learning Chinese, I used this exact method. In the morning, I'd talk about my plans for the day using future tenses in Chinese. For example, today I'm going to the park. I need to shop for vegetables. I might watch a movie later. In the evening, I'd switch to talking about my day in the past tense. Today, I went to the park. I played football. I went shopping. Sometimes I even use the present perfect. I've done so many things today. It's been a great day. This method lets you naturally practice different tenses, just like writing a diary, except you're speaking it out loud. It's a reflective and engaging way to review your day and get more comfortable speaking. All right, let's move to the next technique. I like to call this one collocation fun. Collocations are pairs of words that naturally go together in English. For example, we say heavy rain instead of strong rain. Using collocations makes your English sound more natural. In English, we say heavy rain instead of big rain. You can't say today there's big rain. It just sounds unnatural. So collocations are word combinations that native speakers naturally use together. This brings us to an activity I call collocation fun. It's a playful way to practice speaking. It's inspired by a common teaching method called the task-based approach. In short, the process is prepare, practice, present. First, you prepare the words or collocations. Next, you make sentences using them. Finally, you present a short talk. Now, why do this in front of a mirror? Because mirrors are surprisingly great for language practice. For one, mirrors don't interrupt you unlike small children or a chatty spouse. When you speak into a mirror, you can watch your mouth as you form words. This helps you notice the shapes your lips make and improve your pronunciation. You can also check your body language. You might find that you never move your hands while speaking. Or maybe you notice a habit like tapping your fingers constantly. Being aware of your gestures is useful, especially if you want to speak more naturally. And perhaps most importantly, a mirror gives you the feeling of talking to a real person. Many learners practice alone with books, but feel shocked when they finally face someone in conversation. Practicing with a mirror gets you comfortable with seeing a face your own while speaking. So let's apply the prepare, practice, present method. For preparation, choose a topic. Let's take science as an example. You can find collocations from textbooks, websites, or videos. You could even explore my free lesson videos online, such as How to Learn English or My Struggle to Learn English. From these select 6 or 7 collocations or idioms. For example, exact science, not rocket science on the same wavelength. Once you have them, step 2 is to stand in front of the mirror and make sentences. Exact science parenting is not an exact science. Cooking is not an exact science. Not rocket science. Boiling an egg is not rocket science. Changing a light bulb is not rocket science. Here you're practicing sentences, but also getting comfortable speaking them aloud. Finally, for the present stage, take a speaking question and answer it for 1 minute. Let's say the question is, describe an area of science you're interested in. You could respond like this: I'm interested in the science of cooking. I know it's not an exact science, but I think food science is fascinating. I love learning about the chemistry in cooking and how different techniques change the taste. By doing this, you're not only practicing vocabulary, but also using it naturally in a real speaking situation. When it comes to cooking, I find the science behind it truly fascinating. When you apply heat to food, the texture, flavor, and even the color can change. Mixing ingredients like sugar and vinegar creates different levels of acidity. These changes are the result of real chemical reactions happening in your kitchen. It's like doing science experiments at home without wearing a lab coat. In many ways, I believe chefs and scientists share the same curiosity. Both are constantly experimenting, testing ideas, and creating something new. Whether it's discovering a new recipe or inventing a groundbreaking product, the mindset is similar. Cooking may not be rocket science, but it has its own complexity and beauty. And while it's not considered a hard science, I find it one of the most enjoyable kinds of science. Now, the point here is not to give a perfect exam-style speaking answer. Instead, the goal is to activate and practice the expressions you've been learning. That's why the prepare, practice, present method works so well. It's simple, effective, and flexible. Doing it in front of the mirror adds another layer. You can see your facial expressions and monitor your body language. You can also check if your mouth movements are clear enough for pronunciation. This method is tried and tested, and I honestly enjoy it every time I do it. In fact, just talking about it now makes me want to try it again. All right, let's move to the next technique. Practice with short audios. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan of long-form listening, like podcasts and films. They're great for building comprehension and exposing you to natural language. But for speaking practice, short audios are often more powerful. They're bite-sized, easy to repeat, and perfect for shorter attention spans. You can use recorded sample answers, which are available on many language learning websites. The key is that they must be spoken recordings, not just written text. Listening and then speaking out loud is much more effective than silent reading. One tool I recommend to my students is LingQ. It's packed with short audios for learners at all levels. There's a paid version, but you can get a lot of great material for free. Here's how it works in a nutshell. Sign up, pick your level, and browse the library. Let's say you choose intermediate and search for audio lessons about sports. I'll open one of my previous lessons and focus only on the left side of the screen. First, listen carefully to the conversation. For example, nice to see you again. Identify the stressed words, in this case, nice and see. Another example, like to chat about your interest in sports. The stressed words here are chat, interest, and sports. Repeat just those stressed words out loud to train your mouth and your ear together. You can also collect interesting chunks or expressions, such as a little bit north of or down south. These natural phrases make your English sound smoother and more authentic. Instead of simply saying in the north, try a little bit north of Tokyo. Instead of in the south, say down south in Shikoku. By repeating and reusing these expressions, you'll start sounding much more like a native speaker. When you were in Japan, did you play any sports? A little bit. Just a little bit. I love that phrase, a little bit. It feels natural, friendly, and easy to add into sentences. For example, I played a little bit of soccer. Not I played soccer, but a little bit of soccer. Repeating phrases like that helps them stick in your brain. You start to notice patterns, word stress, and rhythm in English. Sometimes I focus only on stressed words. Other times I collect short phrases or chunks I like. Both methods are powerful because they prepare your ear for speaking. Now, after listening to a short audio, you can go a step further. If you check the transcript while listening again. That's fine. It helps connect sounds to spelling. But here's the real challenge: close everything and summarize the audio in your own words. No reading. No listening while speaking. Just recall the key points and retell them from memory. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, mistakes are part of the process. Once you've done that record yourself, you can use your phone or a simple website like Vakaru. Recording is powerful because it adds healthy pressure. You'll listen to it later, so you focus more on clarity and accuracy. Then listen back to your recording and compare it with the original. Did you change any expressions? Did you drop an important word? For example, did you forget to say even a little bit of football? Or did you replace individual sports with personal sports? This step, called noticing, is a form of feedback. It makes you aware of your language, and awareness leads to improvement. So that's the practice with short audios technique. Simple, but incredibly effective. Now let's move to something a bit more playful. This next method is about imitating your favorite actor or actress. When you watch a movie in English, choose a character you enjoy. Then copy everything about them: their voice, their expressions, their gestures. You're not just repeating words, you're becoming that character for a moment. Why does this work? Because it connects language to identity. When learning a language, many people put on a mask. This mask gives you a role to play and reduces the fear of making mistakes. If you're shy or nervous, pretending to be someone else feels safer. It's like stepping into costume. You're still you, but also a new version of you. Let me give you an example. There's an actor named Rowan Atkinson. You might know him as Mr. Bean, but he also plays many other roles. One of his popular characters is Johnny English. Imagine taking one of his lines. Let me clear up the uncertainty for you. And copying not just the words, but his tone, posture, and facial expressions. At home, you can go all in without worrying about looking silly. You probably wouldn't do this at the supermarket or in a real meeting. Otherwise, people might think you've stepped straight out of a comedy scene. But in your own practice space, it's a creative and fun way to boost speaking skills. All right, now let's move on to the next activity: sending audio messages. If you use Facebook, WhatsApp, or any other messaging app, you can send quick voice recordings to friends or language partners. Many messaging apps today have a built-in chat function. Most of the time, we just send text messages. And let's be honest, you probably send them in your own language. But here's a small change that can make a big impact. Try sending your messages in English instead, and then take it one step further. Instead of typing, send a voice recording. Why? Because your mouth will get practice, not just your fingers. If you have friends who can speak English, or even family members willing to join the fun, make a little challenge. Send each other short audio clips in English. You could describe your day, ask a question, or even send a silly tongue twister. It doesn't matter if it's perfect. What matters is that you are speaking. The great thing about audio messages is that they are not like live phone calls. A phone call puts you on the spot. You have to answer instantly. But with an audio recording, you have time to prepare. You can think about what you want to say, record it, and if you're not happy with it, delete and try again. No pressure, no rush. It's all about practice, not perfection. And every time you send one, you're building speaking confidence. Now here's another playful exercise. Imitate the English foreigner. You know how tourists from English-speaking countries sound when they speak your language? Maybe they have a funny rhythm, mispronounce certain words, or speak with a very distinct accent. Well, here's the trick: copy that accent on purpose. For example, let's pretend I'm Spanish. I think about how an English person might speak Spanish. They wouldn't sound perfect, but they'd have that English melody. So I try to speak Spanish with an English accent, and then switch to English while keeping that same accent. The result, instantly more natural English rhythm. You can do this with any language you know. Just figure out how English speakers sound in it. Mimic that pattern, and then keep it as you move into English. It's a surprisingly effective way to get closer to native-like intonation. And yes, it's also pretty fun. All right, let's move to a well-known technique: shadowing. Think of a shadow. It's a dark shape that follows you everywhere. In language learning, shadowing means following someone's speech closely, very closely, almost at the same time. Here's how it works. Find a short piece of audio, maybe 1 minute long. First, listen to it all the way through. This helps you understand the context and catch the general meaning. Then, play it again and repeat the words immediately. Not after the sentence ends, but just a fraction of a second behind. It's like walking right behind someone, matching their steps. When you shadow, you're copying their words, stress, and intonation in real time. And those two elements, stress and intonation, are the heartbeat of natural-sounding English. I'll give you an example. Let's say we're using a short clip from Q-Lips. The first time, I simply listen carefully. The second time, I speak along with the audio, staying so close that it almost feels like I'm talking with the speaker. That's how close you want to be breathing down the sentence's neck. This forces your mouth and brain to work together at high speed, and it's one of the fastest ways to improve your fluency and rhythm. When you do shadowing, you're staying just a tiny step behind the speaker. Let me give you a clearer idea. I'm going to play an example on my phone so you can hear exactly how close we are to the original voice. In this clip, the speakers are discussing how to talk about films, music, and different kinds of art that can make our lives richer. The topic itself was actually suggested by a listener who kindly sent them an email. Now, as you hear it, you're not waiting for the full sentence to finish. You're jumping in almost immediately after the speaker starts. That's why shadowing is very different from the listen, pause, repeat style. In shadowing, you follow in real time. It feels difficult at first, almost like chasing a moving train. But the more you do it, the better you get at catching word stress, copying intonation, and even picking up parts of an accent. Once when I practiced with a Canadian podcast, I even caught myself saying about in a very Canadian way. That's the hidden magic of shadowing. It trains your ear and your mouth together. Now that we've covered shadowing, let's talk about another skill: responding. Responding simply means this. You hear a question, you form an idea, you answer. Sounds easy, right? But here's the problem. Most students practice by taking questions they already know. They prepare answers in advance and rehearse them again and again. But real conversation, especially in exams, doesn't work like that. For example, in an IELTS speaking test, Part 3, you might suddenly be asked, "What is your opinion on globalization?" If you've never thought about it, your brain freezes. You start with, well, and precious seconds tick by. That's why you need to practice answering questions you didn't see coming. One way to prepare is to do some quick research on common speaking topics, so you have at least a few ideas ready. But more importantly, you need to train your on-the-spot thinking. If you don't know the answer right away, you can use a time filler. That's an interesting question, let me think. This buys you a few seconds to organize your thoughts. The best way to practice responding is with a speaking partner. Here's the method. Each of you writes down 5 unexpected questions. You meet up and take turns asking each other. No peeking at the questions beforehand. The surprise is part of the training. At first, you might feel stressed. But just like going to the gym, the more you repeat it, the stronger your mental reaction muscles become. If you don't have a partner, you can still practice using online resources. On my own YouTube channel, for example, hidden inside the playlists, there are practice videos with surprise questions. You simply press shuffle, and the video throws you a question instantly. Here's an example. Do you like your hometown? Now you have to answer without preparation. You could say, yes, I do. My hometown Manchester is up in the north of England. It's a lively place full of shops and restaurants. We even get quite a lot of tourists. Some come for the football, others for the unique industrial history of the city. And just like that, you've practiced responding in a realistic way. We even have a world-famous football club called Manchester United. That's one of the reasons many tourists put my city on their travel list. So do visitors enjoy coming here? Absolutely. Plenty of people arrive each year to explore our history, watch a football match, or just enjoy the atmosphere. Now here's the interesting part. Because the playlist is on shuffle, I have no idea what the next question will be. It appears on screen, and I have to answer immediately. That surprise element is powerful. It forces you to think fast and speak. You can try the same thing yourself. If you want, create a private YouTube channel. Don't worry about strangers finding it. Trust me, most won't. Upload short videos with a single question on screen. Leave a pause for the answer, then another question. When you hit shuffle, it becomes your own speaking game. All right, let's move on to our last technique for today, describing what you are doing. This is a classic suggestion many teachers use to help students think in English. Whenever you're out and about, walking in the park, at the shop, or even cooking, describe what you see and what's happening. Start with simple words. If you're in the park, you might notice bicycle, person, path, trees, bag, phone. Just say the nouns out loud. Next, turn them into collocations. Riding a bike, a long winding path, a cluster of tall trees, a woman glued to her phone. This step adds detail and context. Finally, build complete sentences. There's a man strolling slowly down the path. A woman is riding a bicycle past the trees. Another lady is sitting on the grass, completely absorbed in her phone. It's the same prepare, practice, present pattern we talked about earlier, but now you're doing it live. And if you're worried, people will think you're talking to yourself. Welcome to the modern world. Everyone walks around with earbuds and chatting away into their phones. You can do the same pretending you're on a call. Hello, John. Yes, I'm in the park. It's lovely today. I can see a man strolling over there and a woman cycling past the benches. See, perfectly normal. Or if you want to make it fun, pretend you're a secret agent like Johnny English. Control this is Agent 07. There's a man walking along the path, a woman on a bicycle, and someone on her phone, possibly about to start a picnic, requesting backup immediately. Whether you're serious or playful, the main goal is the same. Start with words. Build them into collocations and finish with full sentences. You can do it outdoors for fresh air or indoors when you can't go out. Either way, it's a fantastic daily habit to boost your English fluency. So there you have it. A whole toolbox of ways to practice speaking English when you're at home, even if there's no one around to talk to. From speaking to the mirror, playing with collocations, working with short audios, imitating actors, sending voice messages, shadowing, and practicing surprise questions. Every method is designed to keep you speaking, thinking, and improving. The more you do them, the more natural English will feel, and the more confident you'll be when speaking with real people. If you found even one of these tips helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Share it with friends who are also learning English, and maybe even challenge them to try some of these methods with you. And of course, if you want more practical English learning tips like this, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next lesson. Keep practicing, keep having fun, and I'll see you in the next video.